Picture this. The world's largest nuclear power, a nation that has crushed empires and rewritten history with iron and fire, suddenly finds its own capital under siege, not by armies at its gates, but by shadows in the sky, silent, invisible, unstoppable. For decades, Moscow has been untouchable, a fortress, a symbol of invincibility. But what happens when that fortress becomes a prison? When the very people told they were winning a war suddenly can't fly home, can't heat their homes, can't even fill their gas tanks? This isn't a story about distant battlefields anymore. This is about the night the war came home. The night ordinary citizens looked up and realized nobody is safe. Not even here. Not even us. Because when you push a nation to the edge, when you take everything they have left to lose, they don't just push back. They bring the storm to your doorstep. Tonight, we're diving into the attack that changed everything. The night Moscow burned while the world watched. The night Putin's promise of security shattered like glass. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It really helps the channel grow. Let's begin. As world leaders held their breath waiting for the Trump-Zelensky summit, Vladimir Putin decided to deliver his own message first. And it wasn't diplomatic. Standing before cameras, his words were ice-cold and final. Our interest in withdrawing from Ukrainian territories? Practically non-existent. What followed wasn't negotiation, it was devastation. December 27th, past midnight. Over 600 drones and missiles rained down on Kyiv. Not military bases, not strategic outposts, homes, hospitals, power stations. The infrastructure that keeps people alive. For 17 straight hours, air raid sirens wailed across the capital. Families huddled in metro stations, using tunnels as bomb shelters. Above ground, electrical workers climbed frozen poles in the dark, desperately trying to keep the grid from collapsing entirely. Putin's calculation was brutal in its simplicity. Submit or freeze to death. But he made one critical miscalculation. Ukraine didn't flinch. They fired back instantly, strategically, and with surgical precision. Waves of Lyutyi and next-generation jet-powered drones, manufactured by Ukraine's rapidly evolving unmanned systems force, sliced through Russian airspace. These weren't crude, improvised weapons anymore. These were cutting-edge platforms, capable of flying hundreds of kilometers undetected. The first phase of the operation was psychological warfare at its finest. As Ukrainian drones approached the Russian capital, aviation authorities panicked. Within minutes, Moscow's three major international airports, Vnukovo, Sheremetyevo, Domodedovo, were completely shut down. Passenger jets already in the air began circling helplessly, burning through fuel. 69 flights were diverted to distant cities. Over 300 were grounded or cancelled outright. Flight tracking data showed planes from as far as Krasnodar forced into emergency landings in Kazan, stranding passengers for hours without answers. And it wasn't just Moscow. Reports flooded in from across western Russia. Airports in Kazan, Yaroslavl, and Volgograd were simultaneously locked down. Thousands of Russian citizens, people who believed the war was something happening over there, spent the night sleeping on terminal floors, watching departure boards blink red with cancellations. The illusion of safety was obliterated in one coordinated strike. But the airport chaos, that was just the distraction. 700 kilometers southeast of Moscow, in the Samara region, Ukrainian intelligence executed the operation's true objective. The target, the Syzran oil refinery. This wasn't a symbolic strike. This was economic strangulation. The Syzran facility is a cornerstone of Russia's military fuel supply chain, processing crude oil into the gasoline and diesel that powers tanks, trucks, and aircraft across the front lines. Ukrainian drones didn't just hit random storage tanks. They identified and destroyed the refinery's atmospheric distillation unit, the technological heart of the entire operation. When that unit goes offline, everything else becomes useless metal. Local footage captured the aftermath. Massive fireballs erupting into the night sky, secondary explosions rippling through the facility. Russian officials rushed to social media claiming everything is under control. But the convoy of 10 fire trucks and multiple ambulances told a different story. This wasn't debris, this was devastation. What makes these attacks revolutionary isn't just their success, it's the methodology. Ukraine's Center for Unmanned Systems has adopted swarm tactics. Instead of sending individual drones hoping one gets through, they launch hundreds simultaneously. The result? Russian air defense systems are overwhelmed, blinded, paralyzed. Even Russia's vaunted S-400 missile batteries and Pantsir systems, designed to protect against advanced aircraft, can't track and eliminate that many targets at once. It's like trying to stop 1,000 mosquitoes with a rifle, and Ukraine's domestically produced kamikaze drones. They're performing beyond expectations. Despite winter storms, sub-zero temperatures, and heavy snow, they're hitting their marks with terrifying consistency. Russia's narrative of technological dominance is crumbling in real time. These strikes aren't just military victories. They're fracturing Russia's social and economic foundation. For millions of Russians, the airport shutdowns shattered a comforting lie that the war was distant, televised, manageable. Suddenly, it was in their faces. Families trapped at Sheremetyevo, staring at cancelled flights. Business travelers sleeping on suitcases. Children crying from exhaustion. The Kremlin's promise "obey us and we'll keep you safe" collapsed in those airport terminals. Worse still, the logistical ripple effects are catastrophic. International cargo flights can't land, trade routes are disrupted. Insurance premiums for airlines operating in Russian airspace are skyrocketing. Countries like China and India, still trading with Moscow, are quietly recalculating the risks. If Moscow isn't safe, what is? The destruction of the Syzran refinery represents something far more insidious than immediate damage. Modern warfare runs on fuel. Tanks, APCs, supply trucks, fighter jets, all of them are worthless without diesel and aviation fuel. By targeting refineries instead of frontline equipment, Ukraine is attacking the oxygen supply of Russia's war machine. Repairing a facility like Syzran takes months, possibly longer. During that time, Russia will have to reroute fuel from other regions, stretching logistics networks that are already strained to breaking. And it's not just the military feeling the pain. The refinery supplied fuel to Samara, Saratov, and Penza regions now facing immediate shortages. Gas stations are running dry, prices are spiking, agricultural operations are grinding to a halt. In the dead of winter, when heating fuel becomes scarce, when transportation costs double, when food distribution networks falter, that's when the refrigerator versus television battle begins. When Russians watch state TV proclaiming victory, then drive to an empty gas station, propaganda loses its power. Reality wins. The attacks on Syzran weren't limited to the refinery. Ukrainian forces simultaneously hit the city's electrical substations, plunging large sections of a 500,000-person city into darkness. No electricity means no heating. In Russian winter, that's not an inconvenience, it's a crisis. Water pumps fail, elevators stop, internet goes down. In the span of hours, modern urban life regresses a century. This isn't just about discomfort. It's about state failure, about broken promises, about people realizing their government can't protect them. And the psychological toll is immeasurable. Perhaps most alarming for Russian military planners is the strategic bind these attacks have created. Ukraine is now launching drone swarms exceeding 1,000 units. Russian commanders face an impossible choice: deploy air defenses to protect frontline troops, or pull them back to shield Moscow, refineries, and critical infrastructure. They can't do both. Activating the carpet plan, the emergency protocol for closing Moscow's airspace, proves just how inadequate their systems are. Every airport shutdown costs millions. Flight reroutes burn extra fuel. Insurance premiums climb higher. Airlines like Aeroflot and Pobeda, already crippled by Western sanctions, are teetering toward insolvency. The economic bleeding is relentless. There's another dimension to these strikes. They obliterate morale. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Ryabkov recently declared, "We will not stop until Ukraine becomes a friendly country." That statement was immediately drowned out by explosions over Moscow. The gap between official propaganda and lived reality has never been wider. State television broadcasts tales of inevitable victory while citizens watch drones streak across the sky. Officials promise safety while airports shut down and refineries burn. The people of Syzran, jolted awake by 6 explosions in the middle of the night, know the truth now. The Kremlin's censorship can't block out the sound of war at your doorstep. Ukraine has done what Western sanctions couldn't. They've brought the war home, into Russian cities, into Russian homes, into Russian consciousness. Putin's promise of stability is shattered, and here's where the timing becomes critical. These attacks occurred just days before the Trump-Zelensky meeting. That's no accident. Putin's strategy was transparent. Bomb Ukraine into submission right before negotiations, demonstrate strength, and enter talks from a position of dominance. His foreign ministry issued an ultimatum: "We won't withdraw," slamming the door on Western peace proposals. But Ukraine's devastating counterstrike dismantled that entire calculation. In front of the world, in front of Trump's team, Ukraine sent an unmistakable message. We're not just surviving. We can strike Moscow. We can cripple Russian infrastructure. We will not be bullied into surrender. Zelensky's statement, "Russia must feel the consequences of its aggression," wasn't rhetoric. It was backed by burning refineries and panicked airports. That's leverage. Russia's image as an invincible superpower is collapsing. If the Kremlin can't secure its own capital's airspace, how can it dictate security terms to anyone? If it can't protect critical energy infrastructure, how can it project power abroad? These aren't abstract military defeats. They're existential questions about Russia's viability as a great power. Putin's unspoken social contract with the Russian people was simple. Give me obedience, and I'll give you safety and stability away from conflict. The carpet plan and rolling blackouts tore that contract to shreds. Ukraine's Center for Unmanned Systems recently issued a chilling statement. Thousands of drones are only a matter of time. That's not a threat. It's a promise. No Russian city is safe anymore. No industrial facility is off limits. Every refinery, power station, and military depot is now a potential target. Russia faces an impossible dilemma. They need oil exports to fund the war, but they can't defend the refineries producing that oil. They must project strength in Moscow to maintain legitimacy, but their air defenses are inadequate. They want to subjugate Ukraine, but in doing so, they've made their own heartland vulnerable. Putin wanted to bring Ukraine to heel. Instead, he's created a nation capable of striking anywhere, anytime. When Trump and Zelensky finally sit down, the conversation won't be about border adjustments or territorial concessions. It will be about endurance. How long can Russia sustain this? How many more refineries can they afford to lose? How many more nights of chaos in Moscow can Putin's government withstand before internal pressure becomes unbearable? Ukraine's strategy is now crystal clear. Isolate Russia diplomatically, blind it militarily, bleed it economically. And that dark night over Moscow proved the strategy is working. What unfolded in the skies above Russia's capital wasn't just an air raid. It was a turning point. The moment the armor of invincibility cracked wide open. The moment Putin's citizens realized they weren't spectators, they were targets. The moment the war stopped being something happening to other people and became undeniably, terrifyingly real. Putin tried to suffocate Kyiv with missiles and darkness. Instead, he locked down his own capital and trapped his citizens in chaos. The flames rising from Syzran, the closed gates of Moscow's airports, they carved Ukraine's message into Russian soil with brutal clarity. The more you burn us, the more your home burns too. Putin wanted to pound his fist on the table before the Trump summit. Instead, that fist shattered his own glass fortress. The war is no longer distant. It's overhead. It's unavoidable. It's an unquenchable fire. So what do you think? Could bringing the war to Russia's heartland signal the beginning of the end for Putin? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated on all of PPR Global's latest deep dives and analyses. Thanks for watching. Until next time.